life, I'm going to tell you how this house was built in 6 months. Now, this house was built in 6 months and over $13,000. That equals to about $6 million today. And what is amazing is how he was able to do it. Well, two parts of it are amazing. Well, none of the trees throughout the house that built the house were of cedar and cypress. They were of cedar and cypress, but none of them were imported, is what I mean. Now, the only thing that's imported is the staircase here. That is mahogany. And what is amazing is that it took 444 slaves to do all of this, and a sawmill built on site, so we didn't have to pay to cut up the wood as well. So now back to Sarah. She is the sole heir of the plantation, so she has to keep things going. She's got to get married. She's got to do things, make sure things are proper. And she would to her next door neighbor at Oakley Plantation, James Bowman. Then they would have 10 kids. 2 boys and 8 girls. When Sarah has her youngest daughter, Isabel, in 1875, Sarah is 48 years old. And she also has twins. Poor woman. Now, of her 8 girls, 4 of them would never marry, and they would inherit the property. In 1955, the last of those daughters would pass away, and her name was Miss Nina. She dies in 1955 at the age of 86, and there is no electricity or indoor plumbing in the house at the time of her death in 1955. Now, what is incredible is that a year after this house was put up for sale in 1956, a woman by the name of Catherine Underwood would purchase the property, and she would spend 8 years and $10 million of her own money redoing the entire house and grounds to what it looks like today. Now, sorry if you see it. Now, she was an oil heiress, and this was her pride and joy. Now, her family's the founder started the Humble Oil Company, now known as ExxonMobil today. Now, she would open the house in 1964 as a museum and would open it to the public. But in 1970, Miss Underwood passes away at the age of 61. But her husband and sons continued to run the home all the way to the 1990s as a museum. Then in the year 2000, the state of Louisiana would purchase the property and we would become a state historical site. Any questions on the history at all?
How much did it cost the state?
$4.5 million. So one of the things I want to point out is the staircase in here. It is the only imported wood throughout the entire house, and it is made of mahogany. Now, of course, mahogany does not grow in America, so we actually have to import it from the Dominican Republic. And it only costs about $130. What's amazing is that block of wood. Oh, that must have been cameras outside. Sorry. Now, what is amazing about this is that it was so large, they were able to carve the entire staircase in 2 giant cabinets that you'll see in the dining room. But what's really cool is that it's a silent staircase. And what we mean is that there is not a single nail in it. It's on a peg system. So the kids could have snuck out. But when you have a 200-pound door that's 200 years old, it's going to make noise no matter what you do. Any questions at all? I will tell you that this is the only remaining light fixture in the house. It's made of copper. And most of the lamps and chandeliers back then would burn kerosene oil, but Miss Martha actually hated the smell of it, so it burned away oil. It burned brighter. It didn't smell as bad, and it was cheaper. Any questions? All right, I'm gonna actually leave that right there, and you guys can go into the dining room.